Hello. I'd like to show you a photograph of two handsome and elegant people who married in 1901. The man was Edmund Campion from Tubred Castle, and the woman is Annie Agnes Rowe from Tullaroan. Annie was Edmund's second wife. In those days, if you wanted to marry a second time, your first spouse had to be dead and buried, and so it was with him. They were my own great-grandparents, and I'm very delighted to show them off. Mark 10:10 reads, Jesus said to them, "Whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. And if a woman divorces her husband and marries another, she commits adultery." It's interesting to note that he talks about the same thing in Luke 16 and Matthew 19, verse 9. For some reason, the church has now taken on the practices of the world, and marriage isn't considered with the same sacredness as in the days of yore. I'm going to speak on this subject with as much sensitivity as I can muster, because I do know Christian marriages that have failed, and I do feel sorry for those concerned. I know men who've been hauled through the courts with the most appalling accusations having been levelled against them. I know women whose husbands were in adultery and the devastation this has caused them and their family. It makes me wonder how a soul can endure. Psalm 55 reads, "For it is not an enemy who reproaches me, then I could bear it. But it was you, my companion. We walked to the house of God in the throng." But I also should point out that I've seen women marry unbelievers, hoping to convert them to Christ, only to be grossly disappointed. The Bible tells us, "Do not be yoked with unbelievers." I've met some women who've been married twice, and wait for it, even 3 times, to unbelievers. They're making the same mistakes again and again. This is not a case of misfortune, but rather folly. There are biblical reasons for divorce, but to this day, I've yet to find a single Bible reference that supports anyone's right to remarry when the first spouse is still alive. Even elders, pastors, ministers, they've compromised themselves in this regard, thus lowering the standard for the rest of us to follow. Many are simply ignoring God's edicts on the matter. I have never been married, but I do know the vow that says, "Until death do us part." You who have been married will have spoken that vow. Jesus said, "Every idle word men may speak, they will give account of it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned." Matthew 12, verses 36 to 37.